And we are live. Hello, how are you? It's Phil, and I'm back again on the right day, twice in a row now, 2 weeks in a row. Although today was a long day. I started work at 6 in the morning, and it's now close to 11 p.m. at night. I just finished watching episode 7 of Star Trek Picard, Nepenthe, and I got some thoughts about it. So let's talk. Leave your comments below. Please like and subscribe. Hit the little bell to get notifications for when a new video will be up. But I try to always do them on Thursdays, as difficult as it can be sometimes because of my work schedule. So let's get to it. I loved this episode. I really, really loved this episode. It hit all the feels, but it did it in just the right way, which Star Trek Picard has been doing pretty much since episode 1. It really hasn't just given us nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. And it's something that Patrick Stewart talked a lot about leading up to filming and writing and everything, just the creation of this series. He didn't want Star Trek The Next Generation 2.0. And I'm glad that he felt that way, and we're not getting that. And I know there's some rumblings, but it's very much in the minority. People who are like, "Man, I wish this were Picard, the Picard that I'm used to, the Picard from 20 years ago. From Star Trek Nemesis, which was the last time we saw him, or even better, the Picard from TNG." And man, that was a long time ago, and the man's aged in real life. I'm talking about Patrick Stewart, but the man Picard has aged. The man Picard has become disillusioned a little bit. The man Picard is trying to figure out what his place is in the universe. And for those reasons, I'm loving this series because it's giving us insight into this man that I don't think we've ever really had. I mean, we have some episodes like Family, Inner Light, of course, or even like his meltdown in Star Trek First Contact, where we do see how things do affect him. But given how the show was written back then, I'm talking about Star Trek The Next Generation, he had that reset button. So, yes, did Picard evolve from Encounter at Farpoint all the way to Nemesis, let's say, or, all good things, but Nemesis? Of course he did. But we never really, really, really dug into what makes him tick, um, I mean, Genesis killed off his brother and nephew, so we got to see an emotional Picard. But then he kind of got over that. So here we have this long form character study of this captain, which is it's been incredible. It's been an incredible watch for me. At first, it felt a little shaky, but I'm just into it right now. Like I'm totally sold on who Picard is as a man now, and who he wishes he still was. I think there's still a part of him that still wishes he were that Picard from 20 years plus ago. But at the same time, he realizes he can't be that guy. He can't. He's very old. He doesn't have the same contacts. He's retired from Starfleet, but he still wants to help. So this is what I mean. It's making me fall in love with this captain. A captain that I've always enjoyed a lot. I can't say I've loved Captain Picard. I'm sorry. I'm a TOS fan. For me, Captain Kirk forever. But even Captain Kirk, if you go straight into the motion picture, you already see uh, where he's very arrogant, but he learns, in that movie that hey, his arrogance isn't going to get him that far. And by the time we get to Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, we see a Kirk who's lost his son, who sees history, the universe moving faster than maybe he's ready to adapt to. These are important changes in the character. Start Captain Kirk from Encounter from the Undiscovered Country is nowhere near the same Captain Kirk from, of course, the original series or even some of the earlier Star Trek movies. That's what we need in these characters to make them breathe, make them feel real. So thank you, the writers of Star Trek Picard, for not trying to make Star Trek TNG 2.0. We have 7 seasons of Star Trek TNG to go back and watch. And I love sitting back sometimes and watching those episodes. They're like a warm blanket. They feel so good, easy to watch. They're great. They're always going to be there. And the 4 movies are always going to be there. They're not the greatest movies, aside from First Contact, obviously, but they'll always be there. What I was hoping for, and I'm getting, and what Patrick Stewart demanded, it seemed, is that we show more of a layered look at not just his character, but life in the Federation in general. And it doesn't take anything away from Gene's vision to bring reality, if we want to call it that, into Star Trek. To show that not everything's hunky dory, to show that some people deal with addiction, some people deal with shady past, but they're still the good guys. They still have hope. They still want to unite, which is what Picard's trying to do in this series and trying to help his friend Data, which I hope we see again by the end of the series. Would they bring Data back? Would they bring him back to life? I wonder, I wonder, I wonder. I don't know if Brent wants to play Data again full time, because I mean that's what that would mean if they brought him back. But it would be great. I mean, I thought his death was, at least it was a good death, if you want to call it that, in Nemesis. He sacrificed himself to save everybody, but like in a spectacular way. The only death I'm still upset about is Captain Kirk in Genesis. I'll never forgive Star Trek for that. Um, so this episode here, let's break it down. That was just like my preamble. Is pretty much just set in one place, Nepenthe, which is the episode's name. And it's where Deanna Troi and Will Riker have been shacking up for the last however many years, post their Starfleet days. Picard, if you remember from last week, they had like a Stargate thing going inside the Borg cube, transported himself there as a transwarp that they had, transported himself and his female companion there, Soji, is that her name? Suck at names, as those of you who have been following these podcasts know. And we just had more or less bulk of the episode, but 80% of this episode just take place in this quiet village. And that's another thing that I appreciate. Yes, it's Star Trek. We're not always having to be trekking the stars. Little grumbling from some people because of that, but they're definitely in the minority. I think majority of the people appreciate that. Hey, we are getting a real look at these people. Like for me, well, yeah, Deanna and Riker, they always had great chemistry because the two, Frakes and Curtis, I think they're just genuinely good friends off screen. By the way, if you've never seen it, the what do you call it? Star Trek. What is the movie? The Insurrection. Star Trek Insurrection. On YouTube, there's the audio commentary. If you play it just right, you got to time it just right. Watch Star Trek Insurrection with uh, with Deanna and Riker doing the commentary on the movie. It's the greatest thing. I'm one of those that don't really mind Insurrection that much. I actually kind of like the movie, but with them doing the commentary, it puts it like a notch below First Contact. It's so good. It's so good. And you can just tell they're genuinely good friends and they genuinely have good chemistry off screen. It translates to the screen. But that being said, this is the first time I got this a sense of them that was deeper. I got a sense of them that was more emotional. I mean, Deanna obviously lost her son. She explains why. I'm glad they explained why. Um, I would have been okay if they just kept it a mystery and just had this thing in her life, but I'm glad they really broke down as to why this happened. She played it perfectly. I was never a big Deanna Troy fan. Sometimes felt she overacted a little bit, but I think she did really well here. Really restrained, excuse me, and yeah, really just showed her heart. I love the line where she said that she's not as brave as she used to be, and then Picard retorted that, "Hey, maybe you're just getting wiser." Yeah. So when you have kids, it really does change everything, right? You're no longer that person that you thought you were, or you're brave. You're still brave, but in moments you didn't imagine you'd be brave in, right? When you're protecting the cubs. So I love that scene when they were together in Picard's room. And yes, we'll help you. Yes, we'll do anything we can. But if anything were to happen to my little girl, and they have this adorable little girl, I don't know who this actress is. She's got to be the next big thing. I don't know. Well, somebody out there in Hollywood or Netflix land who watched this episode. If you did not see raw talent in this little girl, then you're blind. I loved her. And I'm usually not a big fan of kids in adult type television shows. Usually they drag it down. But this little girl was too much. Loved her. And that was their daughter. And you could, and Deanna was like, if anything were to happen, I don't know what I'd do. And, Picard understood. And he was like, I'm not going to be here for long. But that was cool because it showed layers, which it's not something that Star Trek The Next Generation always did well. It was set up as more an adventure of the week type show, right? Every once in a while, they would dig in a little bit more. But yeah, not always. Those episodes didn't always turn out that well, especially the Deanna Troy episodes where she's just getting raped or haunted by space ghosts. And I don't know. I mean, they. I don't think they ever knew exactly what to do with Deanna Troy uh, during the whole run of that series. Thing is, she's likable. I mean, if you don't like Curtis, which by the way I met during the one and only convention I ever went to, she's a sweetheart. She's so great. So I can't like hate on Deanna Troy, even though she's absolutely useless if you really think about it. Even if you go on the counseling side, Guinan is a million times a better counselor than Deanna Troy ever was, and actually got stuff out of Picard, got stuff out of people. But that being said, the scene where she's talking to Soji in the garden, when they got the tomatoes, I thought was one of the better Deanna Troy counseling scenes ever. I loved it. She just broke the girl down. It was really cool. Frakes as Riker, you could just feel the love that he has for the character, that he has for Patrick Stewart, that he has for Picard. Instant chemistry, and it's so cool to see them outside of the Starfleet um, paradigm, let's call, because even though as we got later into the movies, obviously we saw that they really did care for each other, but it was always very formal. You have like the wedding scene, and in one of the movies, what is that? I think it's Nemesis, right? Where Troy and Riker do get married, and you can sense, this care that Picard has for them, but it still feels like the care he has for his crew. These are the people that have his back, but we never get scenes where it's just like, okay, you can call me an asshole because we're not in uniform. And Riker more pretty much calls him that. Um, but in a loving way. It's like, man, get over yourself, but we're here to help you. Stop thinking you got all the answers. You know, get your ego out of the way. Very, very cool scene because again, it shows a true friendship. And I think for me, I mean, I can't think of any other scenes in the entire TNG canon that has that much of a proximity between these characters. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave comments below. I love reading comments. So beautiful. I couldn't have asked for a better reunion. This was a beautiful reunion, well done, well directed, well paced. I wasn't getting tired of just the whole episode could have just been in their house in the Nepenthe, and I would have been just fine. And the crux of this whole time there was to get Soji to kind of try to trust Picard and trust that these people are really trying to help her because she's totally lost. Everything that she thought was real is in fact a lie, or was in fact a lie. So she's really confused about everything. And Deanna kind of talks Picard down a little bit and says, "Hey, you're not you're not dealing with her correctly. You have to understand where she's coming from and the things that she's been through, and you have to be that Picard from way back when." Which was a cool a cool callback. Patient and curious, and you may not understand everything that's going on, but you're gonna really, really, really do everything you can to allow the truth to come out, to allow that person to come to you in their time, because that's your job. So you're a diplomat, right? So that was cool. Getting to the other parts of the episode, we got Rios and Rafi and our doctor, our good doctor, Girardi, getting away from the Borg cube. We find out that Girardi ate a tracking chip. I don't know how that works exactly. You got to chew it. So is it in her bloodstream? I don't know. Guess they'll explain that a little bit more. I mean, we got more of that. I guess she's really a Vulcan, right? She did the Vulcan mind meld thing. I thought she was Romulan, but well, what did I say in the first time she showed up? Is that yeah, she looked Romulan, but I couldn't understand why they would have a Romulan in Starfleet. I wouldn't trust having Romulans in Starfleet. So I guess she's actually Vulcan. She's just got mega ears, and I really don't get the sunglasses. But okay, she did take them off before the mind meld, so that was kind of nice, I guess, kind of cool. But have the Vulcans need to shield their eyes? Do they have eye issues? I don't remember Vulcans having eye issues when they're on Earth. I think I read somewhere that Romulans might, but we've seen Romulans on Earth and they didn't have eye issues. So I don't know what's going on with the Ray-Bans. Not a good look. Not a good look at all from the wardrobe department, or at least have some futuristic looking glasses or something. I mean, those look like something she bought at the dollar store. Not a good look. Sorry, guys. And speaking of which, the production team totally forgot to get Deanna's wig and contact lenses. She actually had stolen them from, I believe it was Nemesis, she said. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. It's late. And she used them. So what's up, production team? I mean, you've been doing a great job, but some of the stuff is like, huh? Because I love the costumes. I love the set designs. I love everything so far in Star Trek Picard. But yeah, that was the crux of that whole thing. Is this one is reconnecting. I think Picard needed these two friends of his to let him know that, hey, You retired from Starfleet? Yes. You are a little bit lost because you tried to save the universe and your good deed definitely did not go unpunished. The fourth law of Newton. Check. But you're still Picard. You're still the greatest, captain ever, right? Other than Kirk. But I think he needed that reminding, So it's cool because we're getting like this nice balance between the Picard from the beginning of this show to the Picard that we're getting now, who's not going to transform into TNG Picard, I hope, but it's somebody who's going to believe that he can be that Picard when he needs to be, can be affirmative, can be strong, can be patient and curious and objective, but yet still be the man that he is now. So cool stuff. On the Borg cube, I didn't really dig those scenes. You had Elron, whatever his name is. I'll never remember this kid's name. He's a good-looking kid. I'll give him that much. But I just keep calling him the Legolas, uh, Romulan, Regulus. That's going to be his name, Regulus. He's stayed back with Hugh because he wanted to. He needs to protect the Borg ship. Hugh was almost killed, but not because of some treaty. But I mean, the lady's killing the Romulan bitch. She's killing a bunch of the bees. So doesn't that go against the treaty? And like, who is she? Why is she there? Uh, that stuff for me is not that well explained. I think I mentioned that in an earlier podcast. Like, how does she get on, get off all the time? And wasn't she covert in Starfleet, and now she's not? And I don't know. It's not very well explained how the logistics of getting on that Borg cube, the relic, whatever, how that exactly works. But she's full on bad guy now. Full on bad guy, and she doesn't kill him because of this treaty that I don't know if it even matters because she's shooting up a bunch of the bees. So how does that work? But it doesn't even matter in the end because then, Hugh is talking very loudly about his plans to Regulus. And she's listening in and she's like, okay, well, this is what we call insurrection. I guess that's breaking the treaty that we have, this mysterious treaty that we have with you about using this Borg cube. So I'm going to kill you now. And there's some action because you need to have some action. Regulus kills a bunch of, hey, one viewer, how are ya? Oh, you're gone. See, I scare them off when I say hello. And we get a little bit of our, how would you call this? The action scenes, right? We got to have some action scenes. And he chops off, chops away. And then he goes hand-to-hand combat with her, but she throws a little dart at Hugh, who's just sitting there watching, and we get no more Hugh. He dies. Few fans last week were saying, if they kill Hugh, I'm done with this show. Well, they killed Hugh, so don't watch episodes 8, 9, and 10. I liked Hugh, but I don't know. I mean, I liked the episode Iborg, classic, but I guess I never grew an emotional attachment to the character, like not that deep of an emotional attachment. So the fact that he's dead didn't really affect me that much, mainly because I don't know. I mean, he was a little bit underused in the beginning. I wasn't really sure what his role was. Last week's episode was the episode where he shined a lot, and I was like, thank you. I mean, this is what I wish we could have seen more of through episodes 1 up to last week. And then they just killed him off. So I didn't create any emotional bond to him other than, oh, it's Hugh, but he doesn't, there's nothing about him that reminded me of Hugh from way back when. What is that, season 5 or 6? I forgot now, of Star Trek. So yeah, I guess that's just my feeling. I'm a cold-hearted MFer. I didn't really feel anything. I mean, you kill off 7 of 9, okay, then you get a little bit of like, no, or kill off Troy or anybody. Then, yeah, you get a little bit more of an emotional reaction. But Hugh, good job, dude. I mean, glad that you made it back into Star Trek and got to do some cool stuff. Got to save Picard, paid him back, I guess, for getting you out of the collective, but you weren't really moving the story forward. So I'm not missing you. So now Regulus has the job of moving the story forward. He stays on the Borg ship. He's going to be fighting off a bunch of Romulans next week, apparently. And then if you watch the previews, apparently this Borg cube is going to come alive. It's really crazy stuff. I don't know what's going on. I hope they explain this a little bit better before the end of the episode of the season, or maybe I'll just have to go wiki it. Or again, you can comment below. Explain to me what the hell is going on with this Romulan, with this Borg cube. How it is that the Romulans came to it's the artifact, right? I call it the relic before. How it is that the Romulans came to possession of it, what is Hugh's job, and Hugh is dealing with the Federation. So how is it that the Federation cut a deal with the Romulans in order for them to have like this split uh, custody of the cube? I'm not sure. I'm totally not sure. And there have been some good scenes, good sections of action in the Borg cube, but it hasn't really sparked my imagination as much as what's going on with Picard and his crew. And then on the ship, yeah, we find out that, well, we don't find out. We do find out. It's late, guys. I'm sorry. We find out that Girardi is feeling some kind of way about what she's doing, which is tracking and Picard, and probably to get closer to the synth so that they can destroy the synth. She gets these visions of like the end of the world from the Vulcan. So I guess next week they'll explain a little bit more what all those visions were about. But yeah, nothing really incredible happened other than she put herself in a coma. I thought she was gonna kind of inject herself with something that would make her throw up the pill, but then, like the Vulcan said, you got to chew it. So I guess it's in her bloodstream, like little maybe nano bite type trackers, nano trackers. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But I don't know how a lot of stuff works on Star Trek. A lot of techno babble, right? This series is probably like the least. Who knows what the hell they're talking about? Star Trek series ever. So there's that, and that's about it. I mean, I just kind of gave you my thoughts, a little bit of a recap, and my thoughts on the episode. Man, I think this is gonna be my first 9 of the year, of the show thus far. I might even give it a 9.1. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was beautifully done. They didn't just bring these characters back just for the sake of, hey, look, it's our beloved characters. No, they really moved the story forward character wise. They took their time with it, which shows that they're confident about their writing, they're confident about the acting. Moving a story forward isn't always just plot. it's character. It's what we learn about these characters is what we understand about these characters. And I think everybody took a step forward, even Deanna and Riker, in a sense, you know. Um, so, congratulations. Loving Star Trek Picard so far. So sad that we only have 3 episodes left, but I cannot wait for season 2. I want to see more. So let me know what you think. I did see, you know, a good friend of mine who's a big Trekkie. She was not happy at all with it. She thought it was very soap opera-ish, and she runs a Star Trek group here in Brazil. And I saw that they were a little bit negative with the episode. They thought it was way too much drama and soap opera and this and that. If you feel that way, let me know too, and let me know why. Nothing wrong with not liking something that I like or that anybody else likes, and vice versa. But I'm very, very happy with what's happened so far. Guys, I believe it's time for me to go to sleep. It's 11:12. Tomorrow I have to wake up at 5. So I'm going to go. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Much love to all of you. Live long and prosper. Until next week.